Hey there. Before we start this episode, I wanted to jump into your ears straight away and let you know how you can support us best with this podcast so we can keep this going. So the most important thing that when you have listened to this episode would be share. Spread the word, drop our name, drop us in the conversation. If you see a question popping up somewhere, say, the Damn Parenting Ladies, they have an episode on this. Pop the episodes out. Get us into the conversation of the communities. This is the best way to support Eva and me. And give us a like on Spotify. Give us a follow. Jump over to Instagram, Damn Parenting Podcast. Make sure that you spread the word about what you like, why you like the episodes, and that you spread the knowledge that we are putting out there so it can be heard and received by everyone who needs to hear this. And this is what I just wanted to drop with you before now you can enjoy them chat or an expert episode. So let's see what's going to be on. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Damn Parenting, your English-speaking parenting podcast from Amsterdam. And we are your hosts, Maren and
Eva.
And today we will pick up the thread that we left off with the episode that we did back in, Eva, when was it?
Early April,
where we were chatting away about our school acceptance sheets and that we had handed them in and that we were waiting for the acceptance letter of the school that our kids will be going to. And that has happened. We kind of left you hanging there and saying, all right, we'll pick this up when everything happened, which is now because we've had then our different onboardings with the school and our different experiences of how are the schools handling the whole welcoming us to the school and getting the kids settled when they will both be starting their first group 1 year. We at the very beginning of September and your daughter in mid-September. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So yeah, how was the whole process after getting the acceptance letter?
Yeah, we had very different experiences. So after that acceptance letter, the episode was DAMChats episode 13, school acceptance sheets. It went out on the 8th of April. And there we just discussed, what information we got. After that, I think we got an email in April or early May just to make an appointment to meet. I think it's an introduction person in the school. It's not the principal or something like that. It's just a person who integrates everyone. So we had that at the end of May and we went in to meet her. And she, I guess, was looking to observe our daughter to see which toys or how she interacted. And then she walked us around a little bit of the school. And
you took your daughter there with you?
Oh, yes. She expects us to take. So the three of us went and it was a way we answered a few questions. She just double checked our sheets that we actually filled in. And one of them was, do you know anyone in the school basically already? And obviously from our daycare being so close to the school, we did know one child and they said, do you want them to go to the same class? And for some reason we ticked no, which was not actually what we wanted. I don't know why we ticked no. Maybe it was just an error. And she reminded us of that, saying that's why she was going through the paperwork. And she said, I just want to check. And we were like, no, that's a good thing. She goes, yeah, it's very good because your daughter will walk in seeing someone she already knows and it will make it a lot easier to transition. So with that, we went into one classroom where we saw the kids interacting, and then she brought us around to more classrooms. And in one of the classrooms was indeed her little friend that she had been in daycare with. And cute little story. Basically, my husband walked around with her to look at different things while I spoke to the teacher. And when they came back, my husband said apparently some little boy walked up kind of like, what's your name? And my daughter named her name. And he said, oh, what the gekke naam? Like, what a strange name.
Wow.
And the girl from her daycare turned around going, no, it's not. Like, she stood up for her. And I was like, and my husband was just very beaming with like, oh, this is like, I can see why this is so important. So yeah, that was a great relief for us. Doesn't work out for everyone, I know, but we were very relieved about that. So yeah, that was at the end of May. It was maybe like a 45-minute in total introduction where she got to go in, got to see, she was with us. We all left together. We had a bit of an excitement journey. And then thereafter, we then were asked to meet the teacher. So they had actually chosen which class we would go into. And so at the beginning of July, we went back in to meet the teacher after school. So we had a one-on-one. And again, that was about a 45-minute discussion where we discussed a lot of different things. And to be honest, when I say discuss, we had to throw all the questions to her because she was, it wasn't very intro-y. And so I kind of felt very unarmed with like, I guess I expected her to kind of tell us with this is what's to expect. Whereas I guess she was like, what do you want to ask?
What do you want to know?
Yeah. And I wasn't prepared and I didn't expect that. And I felt very like
if you
panicked.
Don't know the process, you don't know what questions to ask, right?
And then I was like scrambling in my head any information I had read from other people about this. And so one of the classrooms, like it's very busy. And so I just said, thinking back to our AOIN episodes of on raising bilingual kids with the monthly lingual. And I was like, how many languages do we have in this class? And she was like, and she went around naming out a few languages. And I was like, and do you do anything with that? And she looked at me completely like blank face of, no, why? And I was like, do you celebrate any cultures? Like what? And I was like, well, I don't know. Like you do Sinterklaas. Yes, of course we do Sinterklaas. Do you do St. Patrick's Day? Just throwing it out there. Like I don't expect any school to ever do St. Patrick's Day. And she was like, I don't know what that is. And my husband's laughing. And I'm like, look, I get it. I don't expect you to celebrate it. But did you celebrate Kesi Koti? Do you celebrate Easter? I was kind of just throwing out these different questions. And she was just looking at me going,
she was expecting what gym shoes to bring. What water bottle to bring? Do we need to get extra clothes? And we're like, so what's the language situation here? What's the celebration schedule here?
I was panicked, and I think this is why it all came into me. And I was like, and the library, what kind of books and how many books? Is there multiple lingual, like, are there multiple languages in this book? Yeah, you're laughing at me right now, by the way. Maren's like silent there laughing.
I love it.
I was so panicked. Yeah. So she just looked at me and she said, well, if you want to come in and do something, you're welcome to. And immediately husband is cracking up in the corner, washing my hands or my daughter's hands because she's been, touching paint. I was thinking, shoot. And so as we were leaving, my husband's like, oh, is that how you're going to contribute to the school by coming in and doing St. Patrick's Day parades? And I was like, no, that's not what my intention was. I just really wanted to know. But yeah, it was one of those things that I felt so panicked that I was like, what episodes have we done? AOIN. Let's talk about languages and culture. Like, let's get this correct.
I love it. So you should have also asked, so what's the nutrition situation here at lunch?
Oh, no, because, I think I actually did ask her about lunch. And I think I did kind of go, so is it like roaches only? And she was like, no, it's your sandwiches, but also be realistic about what they're going to be bringing in. It's like, okay. But she's been a teacher for 20 years and, she didn't go to a Montessori school herself, but she really loves this. And she's like, it's great. She teaches 3 days a week and there'll be a male teacher 2 days a week, which I was like really happy to hear because usually in the schools I've been to, well, growing up in Ireland, it was only females in our school and it was only males in the boys' school. So for me, it was like, this is great because they learn different things from different ways. We never got to see the gym hall. I already knew it, but I never got to see the library. Apparently there's a garden I didn't get to see. So I kind of felt, how would I say that?
But you also didn't ask for it.
I did, because I was like, the library, blah, blah, blah. But I kind of just felt it was a bit like we were delaying her going home because it was after school.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, my husband is just delighted. And he's like, this is going to be an amazing time for her. And like, he's very positive about this, about how it's going to be a great experience for her. And school is so much fun. And, there's no demands on her. It's a holistic approach because each child is individual and it goes with them individually, which, I got to learn. That was it. And we had that meeting. And now I guess we just rock up the day after her 4th birthday and, see what happens really.
Yeah, our process was completely different. And this is exactly what we're doing is chat to highlight the differences within all the different schools, because we are also going to a Montessori school. So it's not that every Montessori school has the same process, but it is very different. So for us, we got the acceptance letter and then we got an email from the school scheduling a meeting with the principal to sit down and get all further information. And this was without our daughter. So it's just me and my husband going in there in the morning, meeting the principal. I'd seen the school at the information morning thing that I went to 2 years ago, or whatever, 2.5 years ago. So I knew the school, but it was nice for me then to go back and be like, okay, I still like it 2 years after. And my husband saw it for the first time and he had a good feeling. And I could have done it in Dutch, but my husband doesn't speak any Dutch. So she did it in English, which was fine. She said, I'll try my best. But of course, as every Dutch person, they speak perfect English. So it wasn't
not everyone.
Well, most of them.
Mine didn't.
But yeah, so it was easy. So that was nice. A good welcome. She gave us an overview of how the first weeks are going to be, what stuff to bring. She showed us the around again, showed us the things that we need to prepare and all that. I think it was like an hour or so, hour, 45 minutes, hour of meeting or so. And she had mentioned that my daughter will have a trial morning in one of the weeks before the summer vacancy, which I, of course, heard and then I forgot as the time was coming closer to the summer vacancy and I hadn't heard anything from the school. I thought I write them an email and be like, hey, so I just wanted to know what's going on. And yeah, so prior to that I wrote an email, they had written us an email saying, hey, we have done the whole organization of the classes, and here is your daughter's teacher. We'll put her in CC. If you have any questions, this is the email. So we knew the teacher's name, and then I thought, okay, I'll reach out to her like, hey, is there anything special we need to know? And then she said, no. And at the same time, here is your daughter, the date for your daughter's trial morning, which was the week after. And I was like, okay, thanks for letting me know. And then I remembered, they did say something, but then, so that was then last Friday, or when we're recording this now. So that was then the week after. And she wrote that we have to drop her off and then we pick her up at noon. So we dropped her off at 8:30. School starts then at 8:45. And then she said we pick her up at noon and parents are not allowed inside. And I was like, okay, that's harsh. And my daughter had never seen the school until that point.
Wow.
So only from outside, of course, but we never went in. I think I handed in the application alone. Yeah. So she really had never seen it. So I was like, oh my God. So I'm supposed to just leave her there alone then? The good thing was that since we had started daycare in COVID, she kind of already knew this process that we drop her off and then see ya, kind of. But then that's really that was the only thing that gave me confidence. I knew, okay, we've done this process with us not being there. She's been through it. We've done it. So, but that was good that I had this experience. And that's also good for me to tell her, hey, remember when we did this? And then she's like, oh, yes. And then we could tap into this whole, let's remember, oh, how do we do that? What do we need? So that was really good. And we did prepare for that. And then, we had that first morning then.
And tell us.
Yeah. So I have good feelings towards school I'm excited for her to go and for her to be on that regular schedule, for me to have that time more to myself and planning and working and all that. So I'm not dreading this time. So I thought, all right, I'm content with it. I'm happy that it's happening. So I didn't really expect to be super emotional of oh my God, I can't believe it. I was like, yeah, I cannot wait for it to start. I cannot wait for
how different we are.
Yeah, it's funny, right? But then, of course, her up, and it was all she was a little scared, but then we talked about it. It was all good. It was also good that we had recorded with Naomi about this and with our experts about how can we support our children. So I really tapped into that, which all you listeners can do as well with all our episodes, and really go back and get some tips how to talk to your children, what to prepare them for. And then we walked there, and while I was walking, I was getting emotional because I was like, we're walking her to school. It's she's not a baby anymore. This is when it really hit me. And I was like, so interesting. So I was trying to really calm myself down and not show anything, because I really needed her to feel that she's secure, that I'm stable,
Yeah, you're strong for her.
Yeah. So we go in, and this is then also before us was another couple that their child had their first morning. So we heard that. So we were like, okay, cool. It's not just us, but then they were also English speaking. So we kind of briefly said hello, and that was then good. But then was the first new information that actually the teacher that we thought she would have, and which we established the name and talked about, said, oh, actually, I'm retiring and I'm not going to be there anymore. And so this is the new teacher, who's also a male teacher, which was also interesting for me then to learn, and for my husband. But yeah, it was all good. And then funny enough, in that group, which is then now group 1 and 2, is one of her classmates from daycare that went to school last year, and she really liked in this kid lives here in our neighborhood, and he was then in that group. So he was there, and what he said when he saw her, he said, "Ach, eindelijk ben jij op mijn school." So finally you're here. Finally you're here at my school. And he kind of took her under his wing and like showed her around, and it was all good. And so that was very sweet. And then we left, and she had like a couple of seconds where she sat on my lap and she's, "Oh, I don't want you to leave." But then we really like talked about it, and she then felt content and she let us leave, no drama, and she felt comfortable, and the teacher was there like supporting her. And then we walked out, and my husband was like, I had to drag him out. He was like walking so slowly and like looking back, and I'm like, let's get out of here. Like, let's get out of here. And then I saw his eyes watering up, and I was like, oh my God, what's happening?
Oh,
yeah. And then we just like were out of school, and we just hugged each other, and we were just like saying, wow, it just hit us. Like, we have a big person now, like a big child now. She's going to school. And that was just, we were standing there like hugging each other, and all the other parents were looking at us, but like nodding, like, yeah, yes, we've been there. It was very sweet. So it was a very good experience. And then he picked her up, and she just had a blast. Like, she loved it so much, and she could not wait to get back. And we had also in the morning practice that opening her lunchbox and like packing her lunchbox, because she was supposed to bring a lunchbox. And then we ordered her backpack and all that, and she can just not wait. Like, she was super excited, and she also went to the bathroom there. So like all the things she did on her own, and it was such a confidence booster for her. And it really like a switch was pulled, and like something was like changed, that she just loves it. Yeah. And that made me very excited for her and for me and for us.
I have to note, so Maren actually was texting me these updates as they're happening, and I cried at like 8:45. I was actually crying, because then it was like, oh, if she's going to school, oh, that means my daughter's going to go to school, and oh God, Maren's just left school, and everything was beginning to hit me, and I was crying, and my husband kind of was like, what's happening? What's happening? And it was like, our kid's starting school. It's like, are you kidding me? This is not for a few months. And I'm like, no, but there's only 10 more weeks. It was just that whole thing of like the reality. Yeah, they're not kids and they're not babies anymore. But at the same time, it's also that fear of the unknown, that we have the anxiety. And this is the thing, all the episodes that we have coming out this month with Dr. Naomi and Isabel Cruz, and we have so many people that are going to be joining, because we really kind of need that support. Because my husband is very much, this is going to be a fun occasion. This is a fun part of our life. Whereas for me, my education, my cultural background is like, that's not how it was. I am just so nervous for how she's going to be accepted, and for all those worries that we have of, is she going to have a friend? Is she going to be happy? Is she going to be able to go to the toilet? Will she, there's so many of these worries that sit with me and reside with me. And I'm really trying my best to do what you did, like to be the strong person, to be able to sit there with her and not have tears in my eyes, and just be able to say, this is going to be an amazing day. This is the start of like everything new. This is going to be your new, daycare, as it were. And that's hard. And I think anyone starting at any time of the year, it's going to be something that we have to prep ourselves. And this is something you'll hear from Erin later this month. I mean, it's really about, we need to take care of our own emotional well-being, because we really need to be mindful about where we are in our life. And as Dr. Naomi would say, we really need to be strong for the children as well. So we really need to show them, because we can't transmit our emotions to them, and they will actually feel that. So that's been hard for me. And I haven't started school yet. So
it just hits differently. Like, it's really that you are seeing your parenting in action. Like, you really see in the reaction and in their behavior the groundwork that you have laid with your parenting, and how it plays out, and how you've managed to create these little people that go to school and they are coping with it, and they have the vocabulary, and they can speak, and they can just be these kids that make this big new step. And that was just, I felt so proud for her, but I also felt so proud of us, like of us as like me as a mother, but also us as a couple. Like, we've done this. Like, it's happening. And it's just this whole new era that we're starting now. And now it's really all these questions that we always like, oh, how is her character going to be? What is she going to like? Like, what are the things that she's going to be super good at or going to be super easy for her? What are the things that will be the challenges? And there's like this black box just kind of starts like opening now and like getting a little lighter and getting a little more precise and really, yeah, she's moving in her own life now. It's like it's not us forming everything for her, not us being responsible for everything. Because also I think the biggest transition is also that you have this new authority also in your life with the teacher. So one thing, and this is like something that I also then was the first thing where I was like, okay, I need to accept also their rules. So she had brought her little knuffel, like her stuffy, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave her alone here. Like she needs like something. So I allowed it. At daycare, she's allowed to have it, but then when they have their like morning circle check-in thing, then they have to put it away, but they're allowed it if needed a little while. So I thought, okay, obviously it's going to be the same. But then the teacher said no. Luckily, it wasn't an issue. Like luckily she accepted it, but it could have been it was like a pivot moment. Well, how's this going to go now? But she was like, okay, cool, I'm not going to have it. So also seeing that with her, like this whole, oh, she's already accepting this new authority also. But then also for me, like not being like, no, this is like, I'm her parent. Like this is too harsh. Like I'm not accepting this, like really not doing that and trusting the process. And yeah, it's like this whole unknown of these things that we can't even predict yet, or we can't even see what the challenges are going to be like.
Yeah, I think it's also for me, it's the whole relinquishing and the fact that she's going to be learning things from other people.
Yeah.
She's going to be having new experiences. She's going to learn new words. And also as a bilingual, like a lot of this is, actually all of this will be in Dutch. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. So, I mean, that's also something that resonates with me of like, am I going to lose not communication, but like connection, that it's a case of, she's going to be doing stuff and she's not going to be able to tell me a bit because I'm not going to understand her, or she's going to be having these experiences without me. And, you know, having been with her, you know, for 4 years, basically, the fact that she wasn't in daycare 5 days a week, but the fact that, you know, we did have her a lot, it's that thing that it's so different from daycare. And trying to prepare for it, I don't think it's going to be able to prepare for it. I think it's going to be a case of rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. And one thing that I also noticed was that a lot of my insecurity also stems from that I can't really judge sometimes also with wording, you know, with like certain words that they use or certain language that they use, or like the whole education where I'm like, oh, is this something that I would need to then rephrase at home or provide a little more information about, or am I agreeing with everything or the way that they say things? So we did have an example already, and I think I have to reach out to like a native Dutch speaker and ask them about, is this a term that is normal or is this something that is not normal? So the teacher at daycare, they're called juffies, right? So juffies. And that's also how they wrote it in the email. So this is going to be juf and then the name of the teacher. So I thought, okay, this is the term, like it's not teacher or like whatever, lehrer or whatever, but it's juf. But then actually her new teacher then said another word. And I was like, in German, I would never use this word.
Meister?
I'm like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because it's a man. Yeah. That's why they are called Meister.
Yeah. But then I was like, but in Germany, this means Meister means like the superior, like this was like the big, and I was like, hell no, like never, like, but it might, like for me, then I was like, okay, I need to check if this is the appropriate Dutch word, or if they're like using this weird word to make this authority get like bigger. So these are like the insecurities that they had with the language, where I was like, okay, I need to check what's the norm, like what's normal, or.
Yeah, no, we have that as well. It's Juf, the name, and then Meister. But I knew that because, and I found that also equally very strange to call, to me, I thought it was like Mister.
Or like Master. It was like this whole, like, I'm like here and you're down there kind of.
Yeah. But we had that with her, a person who teaches Jim. I won't say his name, but he is amazing, Maester. And I also kind of found that weird. Like, I'm not calling you Maester. Like, I found, but that's just how they do it here. And it's like, okay, gotta learn, gotta accept it, gotta normalize it, remove stigma, and just accept it.
But so that was the first thing where I was like, gotta double check this wording if this is gonna float with me or not. But then I was like, okay. But so if you were unsure about this, here is the piece of information.
I'm glad I can share that one. Yeah. For me, I think there's a lot of nervousness and anxiety which comes around it because it's just the unknown and it's a first time for all of us. And my husband, as I said, is very excited about it. And whereas for me, I'm just very anxious about it because I'm never knowing what she's going to go through. And I'm just nervous because I'm trusting her into people I don't know yet. And so, I know people are very much happy when their kids are going to school when they're 5, 6, 7, 8 and so on. But now I think it's just a tender moment where you're still looking at them going, but they're still a little baby. And it's like, no, they're not. I'm not a baby anymore, mama. It's like, okay.
Exactly. And then they started just like saying, like, she's just started saying these cute things when we were talking about it. And she said, do you have trust in my heart that my heart can do this? Do you believe in me? Said, yes,
oh my God. What are you filling this child with?
they just use now these sentences and these words and all this, like really responding to you in how you speak to them. And then it's just very nice to see that what they're like creating in their little own world and how they see things. And that's just very exciting to see. And at the same time, it's like this whole new thing now. I feel like that, of course, she's always had her personality, but I felt like we couldn't fully like see it yet because we weren't able to communicate on that level. But now it's like this like personality is coming out, and I really feel like I get to know her on this new level and really get to unravel this personality. And that's just very nice for me to see, and to see also that like I said before, these other people are going to have a part in it, and a big part in it, in shaping how this is all going to turn out and how her path is going to be, and also the other children. And I'm just excited for her to make these friendships and connections, because like we look back and we're like, there is people who say, oh, we met at first grade and we're still 30 years later friends. And I'm wondering like, oh, are we going to be here for that long? Well, I mean, the plan is to be here in the Netherlands, to be here in Amsterdam, but we don't know what's going to happen exactly. So it's just very exciting for me to really see what are going to be the connections, what are going to be my new friendships and my new connections and all of that. So it's really very exciting, and I'm very curious about it. This is the one thing that I have noticed. I'm not scared. I'm very curious. I'm curious to learn, and I'm curious how this is going to also affect my integration process here and my adaptation to the whole thing.
So this is going out in August, and in September, as you heard, both our daughters are going to be starting school. So we're going to be having to take a little adaptation period for ourselves, because we're going to be going into this whole 8:45 to 3 o'clock or so and trying to figure out, okay, what is going to be our new life? And so I guess this is going to be an episode we're going to be posting out in October or November, probably, to kind of be like, hey, how have you been managing it? Because it's going to be a massive change in our lives as well. And I think that's also the unknown, is the fact that we've had such stability for 2, 3, 4 years. And now we're going into, oh God, I don't know what any of this means. We're now completely changing our whole lives at this stage. So I think that will be coming out later on.
And we also have different experiences, because I have BSO, you chose not to have it in the first time. So that's also going to be interesting how that's going to be a whole other process for us and for my daughter, that adapting to BSO then, and the long days and not having sleep. Like, it's going to be full new course. But very happy to share that, and to make sure that you are not stumbling so much in the unknown, and you can really latch onto our experiences, that what Eva and I are going through, and we can just share this information with you, because this is what this podcast is all about: sharing experiences and sharing knowledge and building up a good library and a good resource of everyone parenting out there, here, arriving in the Netherlands, arriving in Amsterdam, or having been here and not being sure about certain topics or still having questions. This is where you can come to Damn Parenting Podcast. This is why we started this, really providing our experience and information for the community.
And with that, you have the rest of the month to listen to all the people who will be joining us to discuss this topic, as we are all preparing for school to start on September the 2nd. So for now, enjoy the rest of your holidays.
If you want to hear more from us, you can hear us every Wednesday and every Monday. We're coming out with an episode. If you want to support us, you can subscribe to our Instagram channel, Damn Parenting Podcast. Make sure you also hit the subscribe button on your podcast player, Spotify, podcast, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Please give us a 5-star rating so we get seen by other parents who this information might also be interesting for. Make sure you bring us into the conversation. You scroll on your feed, you see a question in a Facebook group popping up. Make sure you share the episodes that we have put out there. There's a lot of knowledge in our Instagram feed as well, where we have prepared little notes about each episode, and you get little sneak peeks about the people that are be coming on in the next week. Yeah, just make sure that you talk about us, you bring us into the conversation in your WhatsApp chats, at your coffee dates, talk about the episodes, get in touch with us via Instagram if you have anything that you think is worth discussing with a wider audience here. And that has it been for now, and we will hear you on the next episode.
Bye.